Hello, this is Sensei Bill of the Mizuchi Dojo. I train people in classical Okinawan karate. And I was at a training recently where the instructor was teaching in one of the weapons out of the Okinawan Kobudo or Okinawan way of weapons. And that person shared a story that I feel I've heard a bunch, but I just feel like there should be a counter story out there, or at least a challenge to it. And that's the idea that what people will call either Japanese martial arts weapons or Okinawan weapons, or just mainly weapons, but Okinawan weapons, that these come from some sort of an agrarian origin, that they were farm tools. And specifically, they're farm tools because the practice of martial arts was banned by the Japanese for the Okinawans. And so I feel like there's a need to just clarify some things. Like for example, in the use of the kun, sometimes referred to or often referred to as a bow by people. It's a staff, and I've heard, oh, this was just a pole, and you would carry bottles of water, buckets of water on each end, and so that's what that was. And then the tuifa or tanfo was originally some sort of a grain mill handle or something. And then there's of course the eku, which is an oar, and most obviously could have been a farming implement. But outside of those three, it gets a little bit of a stretch to say that the rest of them were just these farming implements, like the nunchaku. I think I heard someone say, "Oh, it's like for thrashing rice to get the hulls away from the rice," or something like that. No. And then there's the sai, which is really a police truncheon. That was its purpose. It was always intended as a police officer's tool. And arguably, so is of course the tuifa or a baton, police baton. But then even beyond the sai, there's obviously the Okinawans back when they were the Ryukyu Kingdom, or when that was first formed in like 1470 or something like that. That's when the original ban happened. Because they didn't want regular civilians running around anymore, because they just completed a big civil war that unified the three islands. And then when the Japanese came in 1609 or so, they continued that ban. So it wasn't the Japanese banning martial weapons or their training, and it was the Okinawans themselves that did that, like so many other governments did. But I think the thing to also realize is that those were weapons. They were weapons, and basically the formal and public training of them in any kind of a visible and mass way was banned. But the idea that people would forget the knowledge of how to use these weapons, or even stop training them privately to their own family members or to discreetly to individuals, would of course continue. And as much as people might think that maybe Okinawans didn't have swords, just the Japanese really sold the katana to anybody who would buy them. And so it's likely that, of course, at one point the Peichen, the Okinawan equivalent of samurai, also used katana. And so it's a totally legit weapon to train with as a part of your Okinawan Kobudo. But just want to put that out there. They're not farming implements. They were definitely weapons, and their training had to maybe go underground, but it didn't mean they started using farm implements or ever got them from farm implements. They could certainly be, I guess, secondarily purposed that way.